Okay, now it should be live. All right. So there's two buttons. One says start streaming and the other one says start the broadcast. I assumed start the broadcast was good. So sorry about that. I've been talking to you the last 5 minutes, Ben. Just check if the sound is okay. I did go perfectly on 12 o'clock. I know it's 12:02 now. Where I am, it's 12:02. Wherever you are, it's 2 minutes past. So apologies for going. I've been prattling on to what I think is an empty
I'm come
scene.
to say hello
Come
again.
and say hello again, Michelle. Michelle just bought me.
Hello again.
She just bought me coffee.
I just made the coffee. I was just making it as he was starting. I thought, come and say hello, and he hadn't started.
So let's. There's a button, Michelle.
There's two buttons.
There's a button that says start the stream, and then there's another button that says start the broadcast. I didn't. I normally do this on the phone. I haven't done it on OBS for quite a while, so forgive me. Have we got sound? Are we streaming? It's the second time of asking. D Mayfield, hello. Are we good? Just somebody give me a little. I can read. I'm not on the phone today, so I can see all the comments coming through. So you can just write yes. The sound's working perfectly good. We got a little thin coffee. Oh, wow, that's hot, Michelle. Can I have my coffee a little cooler next time?
Well, that's why I was saying, be careful. Don't take it off me. It should be dripping through.
Yes. So the
excellent.
sound is
Ben,
good.
thank you. Yes.
Beautiful.
Fantastic.
All right.
We're good to
so
go.
loads of great questions from you there, Ben. And one I'll address quickly. Yes, the heart thing on the YouTube app. What are they up to? I mean, I love
pain.
You can hit it, by the way. Get lots of nice little hearts because they're going up, so might as well use it.
Thank you, and smiley faces. I like. Oh, yes, wonderful.
But they did put it. You know, Google engineers, not the sharpest tools in the boxes, decided they put it over the chat box, so it is a little bit.
Even worse on the phone.
I was going to say counterintuitive, but let's be honest, it's a little bit stupid, isn't it? I know it's late, Ben, so I do appreciate you staying up, and anyone else that's got sort of weird hours. Lots to report, so we're going to do an update on what happened on the last section. We finished the Taiwanese cycle. We finished it. We did the whole thing. Apart from the last, we did get a train at the last section, and I'm going to share with you some video in a minute, just some of the beautiful scenery that we saw on the east coast. So we did the last section from Hualien to Taipei. It seems like years ago. It was only a couple of days ago, but it seems like so long ago, because so much has happened since then. And literally, we have been in 3 hotels over 3 nights. So lots changed.
Me, Mr. Jono says hi. I've not had time to follow much as.
No worries, Mr. Jono. Good day, Jono. So
Ben says congrats on finishing the cycle.
Yeah, so
we did it, Ben.
We did it. I feel super fit, but didn't lose any weight on that one. I don't think, Michelle. I didn't anyway. I didn't really, but we're putting it down to muscle mass.
I feel more toned. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, we both think so. A lot of this was like on the walk. It was like to get healthy, get fit, you know. And certainly towards the latter part, we could cycle for absolutely hours upon hours. Now, I did a live stream second day before the end. I was in a bit of a bad mood, so I took that live stream down. I wasn't in a good mood on that day, and it was mainly because I think I was getting a little bit sort of anxious because we were getting to the end and we had lots to plan. But also I got bitten, like hundreds. My legs were peppered in things, and I was a bit grumpy, so I took that one down. If you saw it, forgive me for moaning, but yeah, muscle mass. Yeah.
You laughing at our muscle mass, Ben?
So we went all the way from Taipei all the way down. That looks reversed to me, but maybe it's the right way around for you. So we went all the way down the west coast, which was amazing. Everybody says the west coast is not so good because it's cities and traffic lights, la-di-da-di-da. But actually, we really enjoyed the west coast.
We did. We liked it.
We enjoyed it, and we actually found that we liked seeing and experiencing all the small cities and towns on the west coast. So I wouldn't say don't do the west coast, but I have got some real strong opinions and tips I would give if you're ever going to cycle in Taiwan. The West Coast, I would not avoid it. I would avoid the very top section. We'll maybe do a proper in-depth, tips about cycling in Taiwan. The top section was a little bit hard for us or unpleasant, and the very bottom section of the East Coast was also not pleasant for us. But what I would say is, if you're going to do both coasts, either way, east or west, is go down the country, because the one small thing that spoiled some of the journey coming up the East Coast was the intense wind that was hitting us face on all the time, and apparently that's general direction of the wind currents on that coastline, and that made it quite hard. So what I would actually do is I would come down the West Coast, and then I'd get the train, because they're not expensive, they're fairly easy to get up. I get the train back up to Taipei and come down the East Coast, so you could sort of like do a down, up, down. That would be the perfect. You'd see all the most sort of best aspects, and you'd have a prevailing wind. So
me, Mr. Jono says, fit lol, you guys are expert at doing what you do. And D Mayfield said, I liked it because it's real. That was talking about the live stream that you took down.
Yeah, well, it was real, and I did sort of like get angry. I wasn't angry, it was a bit I was telling off we were on a cycle path. It was one of the very few designated cycle paths in Taipei. Mostly they're sort of shared with the motorbikes and things, and there was a big sign up saying no motorbikes on this path, and there was a motorbike path just about sort of 10-15 meters to the left. And whenever Michelle and I found it really quite pleasant, because we could cycle side by side, but we kept being approached by motorbikes, and they just kept coming and coming and coming. And I said, on the next one, I'm going to stop and I'm going to tell them off and tell them to go on to the other one. But I just felt really sorry for them in the end, because I don't think they knew what I was on about. And I was a bit sort of mean to them, so I thought, that doesn't look so good, so I took it down. Anyway, I've told you about it now, and some of you saw it, and I know it keeps it real.
So Mark says, hi Steve and Michelle, just a quick hello and goodbye as walking in Namdaeum Market. We'll catch up on the stream later. That's
no
Mark
worries,
and Anna,
Mark.
who were just in South Korea, remember?
Oh yeah. So where are they? In
Namdaeum Market.
Namdaeum Market. Wow, have a beautiful day. Enjoy yourself. You can catch up later on. Leave some comments later on. I'll address them.
So Ben says it's funny because in Barbados it's the other way around. The west coast is hectic and busy, and the east coast is quiet side of the island with stunning countryside and forests.
Yeah,
that's the same. The west is busy and east is.
Yeah, the west is busy on Taiwan also. The west is where all the congestion, cities, and city after city after city, and the east coast is a lot more sparsely populated. And I think they purposely did that. The government have made a purpose decision. There was some logic behind it, but I suspect it being government, logic and government are not necessarily words that should be used all in the same sentence. But I do believe there is some logic to it. So the last few days, we decided not to spoil those days by camping. We did I think the last maybe 3 or 4 days of cycling, we stopped in hotels every single night. So we had to get to certain points. And so they were quite big cycles, quite long cycles, 80 kilometers in a day. Doesn't sound a lot. If you're on a lightweight cycling bike, 80 kilometers is nothing. But when you're carrying sort of like, tents and equipment and laptops and, all the gear we were carrying in our panniers, it's, and a big shout out to, while I'm on, the lovely Alec at Taipei Bike Works and his team. Thank you for supporting us with the bikes. They provided us with bikes for the whole time we were there on that cycle route. So that was a great opportunity for us. I've gone a little bit off track, haven't I? And a massive thank you to Ortlieb Taiwan and what's the parent company again of Ortlieb? Outdoor Buys. Yeah. Outdoor Buys. Lynn. Outdoor Buys is a great store in itself. It's got all the North Face and all the sort of like the big branded equipment, but they're also I think they've been the agent for about 20 years. So they're the agents for Ortlieb, the fantastic pannier company in Germany. And any of you that have cycled, you'll know Ortlieb. I mean, they're just like iconic. You saw them on our bag. So we were really, really stoked that Ortlieb supplied us with our bags for that particular project. Now, back to what I was saying. Having the bags and the bikes, it makes it a lot heavier. So sometimes when we've not really done that sort of cycling before.
I say we were only 2-week fit.
Yeah. So we were seeing bikes going past us at great speed, you know, with the cycling shorts on, all the lycra, and they're whizzing past us, and we're sort of, but other bike packing crews we saw were going at a similar pace to us. So 80 kilometers is a long way when you're going, when your headwinds on and you're like basically a spinnaker on a minor spinnaker. The spinnaker's trying to pull you back down the road. So yes, so we stopped in some amazing hotels. I mean, we had some really good stops. What we found on the East Coast is we could get a hotel for probably, I'm going to say about 40 Australian dollars, which is 28 US dollars, to give you a rough idea. And we get really, really nice quality hotels that we're used to, stuff like we're in at the moment. But when you get to Taipei, you get none of that. It goes downhill and up cost very quickly. So we've got some really lovely places, lovely cities, smaller towns that we went to that we'd love to go back and explore. I mean, really, we had a commitment. We're actually meeting some family and having a bit of a sort of early Christmassy sort of get together with some family. And we had a bit of a commitment. We couldn't break it. And that's the reason we had to sort of speed things up. We had another issue that the flights to get out of Taipei where we wanted to go to were suddenly going really, they were doubling and tripling in price.
And selling out.
And selling out. There were a lot that was showing as sold out. And I wondered if there was some sort of event or holiday or something was going on. But no, it was just an anomaly. I don't know what happened. So we managed to get our flight. I know we should have probably booked them earlier, but we didn't know what day we were going to be finishing the cycle. You can't be sure. So we had to wait till nearer the date. Anyway, so we did these, we stopped in some of these lovely little towns, and they were, you'll see them eventually in the series, the video series that I will eventually edit. I'm not sure how and when, but I will eventually edit the video series, and I'll try not to leave it too late. But you'll see some of these beautiful towns and some of the experiences we had. So outside of the live streams, there's lots more I want to share with you. And
$25.96 US dollars is whatever number you said for.
Okay, well that's even cheaper. So for sort of 26 bucks, we were getting really nice hotels. Yeah. Some of them were outstanding. And once we got back up to, so we got up to Hualien, and we only had an overnight. We arrived quite late in Hualien, so Michelle and I never liked doing this, arriving late, paying for a hotel, sleeping, get up early and leaving. It's one of our worst things, because then whatever you're paying for a hotel is basically you're just paying to lay flat in a bed for 8 hours or 12 hours, as we tend to do. Oi. Pay attention.
That's right, I'm reading the comment. Me, Mr. Jono said never been, but nobody I've met has said a negative word about the place. And cool, a series. So he's excited about that you're doing a series. But no, we don't like to arrive late and leave early and just pay to stay in the bed.
Well, no, I said that we don't like to sleep for just 8 hours. And then I looked at you and said, well,
sorry.
actually,
well, I was busy reading.
Hang on, listen again. You're off again. She's not paying attention. And then I said, or 12 hours as we tend to sleep.
No, I wasn't listening.
Michelle and I are not big at sort of doing the, we're quite sort of, what's the word for somebody like, we like our sleep. We're not sort of ones for getting up early in the morning. Anyway, I've got my coffee here, little Vietnamese drip coffee, which will give you a clue as to where we are. Yes, we're back somewhere that we've been many times. There's a story and a reason behind it, and I'll explain that to you in a minute. Back to the stop. So there are loads of towns we'd like to have stopped in. Even Hualien, which was the last town we were in, I would have loved to spend more time. But we had to get back up. So we arrived late in Hualien. We had one night, we had a train booked to Taipei City, a very expensive hotel, I say very expensive. you might not think so, $140 for a hotel, but it was a cupboard. I mean, we were basically in a cupboard
just
that just
the
about
bed.
fitted the bed in. So we had a hotel booked there. One night we had to get the bikes back to the lovely Alec at Taipei Bike Works. We had to rock up and see our lovely friend Dan, because we know one of the main reasons we were encouraged to go to Taipei was because Dan was there, and so we had to go and see Dan. We got a lot done. We even made a video with Dan. Dan put it up on his channel, Dan versus Food. You can check out the video. Dan made a little video of us together.
Had to completely repack our bags.
Repack our bags. Get everything ready, and then the very next day we were flying out. So that happened all, and then so we had night in Hualien, night in Taipei. Here we are back in Hanoi, one of my favorite cities in Vietnam, but there's a reason for it. I know we've done a lot of Vietnam lately, but there's a reason for it. And then change rooms the second day. So 4 hotel rooms in 4 days. So there you go.
Hey, getting back to your word for what it is when you like your sleep, lazy, Ben says.
Yeah, that's the word I was looking for, Ben. That's the technical version, clearly. Cheeky so-and-so.
No, he says joking. He does say joking.
Oh no.
Oh, you can see the comments. I know. I'm superfluous. I can just drink my coffee.
You can. Can I get a little stir, Michelle?
You want a stir as well?
Yeah, a little stir. I've got some milk in the bottom of my Vietnamese. It smells so good. Vietnamese coffee. Oh, super strong.
Is it a good one?
It's a good one. Yeah, it's a good one.
Oh.
I don't know who made it, but
no, I don't know
it's turned
who
out
made
quite
it.
well.
I'm getting good at Vietnamese coffees.
Michelle makes a really good Vietnamese coffee, actually. It can be a bit tricky sometimes because the coffee is quite fine, and if you don't set the drip up properly, we've got these quite nice little cafe fin dispenser. Got to be careful because there's a little bit of liquid still in there, but they're those lovely little Vietnamese coffees, and they've got a little weight in there.
Yeah, there's a technique, and if you don't do it right,
if you don't do
one step right, it doesn't work.
But it's very easy if you do it right. Now, I've just scrolled up to Ben's earlier questions, and I do ask people if you've got a moment just to pop questions there, because I do love answering the questions. It gives me some, because I'm not very well organised with these live streams, I rather have some questions to answer. I have been a little organised. I've got some beautiful video footage I want to share with you in just a moment, so just be patient, wait for that. So Ben, do you want to read out one of Ben's questions from earlier, Michelle?
Okay,
I don't want to read them out on screen. I think you're on the microphone.
Okay, so Ben says, when will you be exploring Australia again? There's so much to explore there. Why not get another Eggie and stay in various towns and cities for a few months at a time?
Eggie. Ben remembers the Eggie now. Eggie's got a great history as well, Ben. I don't know if I went into it, but
we loved our yellow Jeep.
So it's definitely on the cards. We often think that if we go back for any length of time to Australia, it would probably be to do some touring. And the more I travel, the more I remember just how beautiful Australia is, and how amazing a country it is to how lucky we are. It's just sometimes when you're in your own environment, you feel a little bit like it's just a little bit same. It's hard to explain. I think it's hard for me to sometimes create videos when I'm back in Melbourne, for example, because it all seems quite plain in a way that we're used to it. So there's
mundane,
it doesn't marvelous as much as it probably should. But actually, Australia as a touring thing, yes, I think it will happen. But it'll suddenly be there. We'll suddenly be there, and we'll be doing it. But it's not on the cards for any time very soon, at least at the moment. So
Ben's second question was about the annoying heart, but we've covered that, haven't we?
Heart. which you can all tap if you want.
Yes, there was lots of it going up, and now it's all gone quiet.
Yeah, and
you can
thumbs
hit that
up on the
thumbs
video
up.
as well. I can't see. I'm on OBS, which is a sort of like a broadcast software. I can't actually see the stream and see who's in, but I can see your comments. So just run through Ben's questions.
Ben's question: when you are traveling around Europe, you visited Austria and other places. Did you sometimes find it difficult to find affordable accommodation? Some countries can be expensive.
Yes, in Europe, you generally are going to have to pay higher prices on general, particularly on Western Europe. You can get less if you start to get over into the eastern side of Europe, but generally, did we find it hard? Can you remember, Michelle? We got some nice little places, didn't we?
Yeah, we did.
In Austria and Italy, and
we had a car, so we could get to smaller towns and things. Yeah. So we didn't have to stay in the big cities. So no, I don't think it was so difficult. It was a little bit more expensive, but we just budgeted for that, didn't we?
Yeah, generally it's more costly, and also when you have a car, it seems like it's a great option because now you can go pretty much anywhere. But you do have to pay for fuel, and I think fuel's gone up a lot, but it's dropping back down again, I think. But you do have to factor in. So if you drive for several hours in a day, you might end up spending sort of 40, 50, 60 bucks, euros, say, on fuel, and that actually then adds to your daily sort of accommodation budget because you've been accommodated in a vehicle for sort of 8 hours, and that's costing you 60, 70 bucks, and then on top of that you might have a hotel. And if you get a hotel, say in Austria and places like that, I think we were probably paying between sort of 60 and maybe 80 euros a night, so it's quite a bit more than here in Southeast Asia. So you've got to add that on. It can get out of control, but then you have the periods where you can make up for that. So we stayed in Sicily. A lot of you remember that we spent quite a few months in Sicilia, beautiful Sicilia, and we managed to find a lovely little house there, off season, 2-bedroom house, log fire, very comfortable, very enjoyable, super beautiful city in Noto in Sicilia. And I think we were only paying about 350 euros a month. So that drops your costs down, doesn't it? I mean, I can do the maths quickly on that, but say if it was 350 euros and let's just do simple, so $11 a night on a 30 day, $11.60. So drops that cost down considerably. So
and we weren't moving around so much, so we didn't have to.
And also, the car then wasn't being used, as it was pretty much parked outside. Occasionally, we'd run to the shops and things, or go for a little sightseeing, or do something. But it was not you weren't getting 60 a day. You were probably filling it up and only filling it up again maybe 2 weeks later, 3 weeks in some instances. So that's where you have to be careful or savvy when you travel in places like Europe. You don't want to be just bouncing around. If you're bouncing around Europe, then it's going to you're going to be running out of many thousands of dollars in a very short period of time. So yeah, hope that answers that one. Was there another?
Yes, another one. What town or city have you and Michelle enjoyed the most during your time in Taiwan?
Well, that's a sort of multifaceted answer, because we really did like, when we arrived, we liked Taipei, and I loved Taipei. In fact, it felt very, very comfortable. But having said that, as we cycled around, we came across other cities and towns that we probably enjoyed more in some respects. I think if I was staying in Taiwan, we really liked Tongcheng, didn't we? It was Tongcheng? Taichung. Tongcheng's Hong Kong. Sorry, I always get it muddled up. Taichung was a lovely city. We met such great people there, and it was one of the few places we did sort of hunker down and spend 3 or 4 days and explore it. So Taichung, but
we liked some of the smaller towns on the East Coast.
Yeah,
I can't remember the names.
And I can't remember the names.
No, but they were.
But there were some great smaller towns that were sort of like really quite sleepy, and they had there was another Taitung.
Yeah, on the East Coast. Taichung on the west, and Taitung on the east.
That's why I get so tongue-tied because of all the Taitungs around. Yeah, so there was Taitung was really nice, and there were some smaller towns. They will feature in the videos, so you may get to see them a little bit more. There were some that were a bit underwhelming, so a little underwhelming. But that's the same in any country, isn't it? I mean, Taiwan is a fairly small country in many ways that we can cycle round it in 2.5 weeks. So, yeah, I'm going to say my favourite city is Taichung at the moment, followed by Taipei. But you see, I just felt that Taichung was more. It was smaller enough that you could sort of navigate around the city quite quickly, and it had great bicycle paths. I think some of the best bicycle paths that we came across. Was there more questions?
One more from Ben says, I enjoyed some of your videos from Bali, Indonesia. Very green and lush environment. Was a big fan of your bike ride video. Do you plan to go back to Bali next year? If so, when?
No. I'm probably not going to go to Bali for quite some time. I'm not getting good vibes from people that have been to Bali of late. I get the feeling that things have gone downhill a lot and costs have gone up. So I'm not getting, until I start getting a better vibe, I've no reason to go to Bali. I did love it, and I think it's one of those places that we'll always have dear to our heart and always have as a sort of one of our favourite countries, cities, towns, regions in our travels. But there are so many other places that I want to go to that it would almost be folly to go back at this time whilst it's not overly convenient. The Balinese or the Indonesian government have started to introduce like weird little visa problems. You've got to start jumping through hoops and paying for visas. They clearly at the moment have got a sort of anti-tourist agenda going on. And whilst they're doing that, whilst they're being small-minded enough that they can't even fully understand how tourism works and just letting people in on sort of visa on arrivals and letting them stay for a reasonable amount of time, countries like that really kind of grind me a little bit. They get on my nerves because people will always say, oh, but you have the same visa restrictions to go into Australia. But often people want to come into Australia. Well, firstly, if you're coming on holidays, it's not always that difficult, but often people want to come into Australia because of all the benefits and things they can get by living in Australia. But if you're going to Bali, generally you're going there to spend money, so you're adding to the economy in quite as a strong way. So why they're making it more and more difficult, I have no idea. So no, Bali's not on the agenda. It's beautiful, highly recommend it, but would I go there? Even if I was recommending places for people to visit at the moment, I wouldn't recommend Bali because I think there are other places that are more inviting and also can offer very similar. I'd say Australia, Ben. If you were in that area, why not go to Australia? I mean, if you want to keep your costs down in Australia, go camping and. Lost a shoe, Michelle.
You lost a shoe. Well, Ben's actually just said, I hear you about the cost of travelling. That's the reason I haven't travelled since I came back from Australia early this year. Cost of flights and accommodation is outrageously high.
Yeah, everything's gone a little bit pear-shaped, hasn't it? So, was there any questions in there? Have we missed any questions from...
There's a couple of things. D. Mayfield said, does Michelle agree with the favourite cities of Taiwan? Yes, I did. Taichung was my favourite city.
Yeah.
We tend
to sing off the same hymns.
We do. I think when we have a good time there and we get that same vibe, then we both enjoy it, don't we? So
yeah.
Yes, I do agree with him. Mr. Jono says, what about the Cook Islands, given your heritage and love of history? Never considered them.
No, I've not given the Cook Islands an amazing amount of. But why my heritage? I'm trying to work out why my heritage. What am I missing there? No, I'm trying to think. Can you sort of clarify why you from my heritage? Because I'm not sure I understand that.
And also, he said about when we were talking about Vietnam, great coffee and great bread.
Yeah. Yeah.
D. Mayfield says you both are so sweet together.
Thank you. Not all the time, are we, Michelle?
No, not all the time.
Sometimes
but we're on a good day today.
We're on a good day. I like you today. I like you most days. We wouldn't have been together for sort of 300 years if I didn't love him.
I'd have lost him along the way somewhere.
Yeah, I'd have left you in a tent somewhere on that bloody windy.
You kept trying.
Mosquito-ridden. That was the only thing with that The camping side of Taiwan was not our favourite.
I mean, no. I think more than it was too hot. It was too humid.
I wouldn't actually advise anyone go wild camping or touring, because actually we were there at what was potentially some of the best time of years, although I think maybe towards December it might cool even a bit more.
Yeah.
But if you start getting rains and things, it could become quite oh, okay, it's that thing again.
Oh, you're doing your double thumbs up.
Yeah, I forgot about that. So if it starts, it's probably not the best camping country in the world. It's not as good as I'd hoped it would be. It's great for camping, but you really need to have big tents, you know, in a car, drive down, put a tent up, have electricity so you can turn on fans and get air.
As Steve Mayfield says, oh, heat.
Yeah, the heat was just.
So Mr. Jono says Captain Cook. And Ben says, maybe assuming that your heritage is from Australia only. Their heritage is from the UK, but they have lived in Australia more than they've lived anywhere else and identify as Australian.
That's right. And but I wonder. I thought maybe I had some connection with the Cook Islands specifically that I hadn't known.
You hadn't discovered.
Do you know, I don't know much about the Cook Islands, to be honest. So I'll make a little note to have a look at it. But there are so many places yet for us to visit. And a lot of places that I've been to that I have enjoyed so much. You know, we're big fans of Australia, the US, Europe. These are the places that probably are drawing us back at the moment. India, we've really wanted to go back to the Indian continent, but I don't know. We're sort of balancing a few personal things. You know, trying to work out what it is. Ask questions if you want to ask me about it. I can't think off the top of my head. I'm not trying to keep things from you. It's just that we don't know. Right. What I'm going to do. So we are in Hanoi, and we've come to Hanoi because it's a city we know and we love. It's Vietnam. Vietnam is a great hit. Hanoi. Okay, when you're back in countries like Vietnam, you immediately get hit by the noise and the grime and the dirt and the sort of that can get a little bit frustrating. And when I actually first arrived, when we got here, night before last, because we've been here 2 nights. When I got here, the initial thing was, oh Lord, it's so dirty, you know, because you're walking on the streets and it's like there are rats everywhere and cockroaches everywhere, and it's back to that sort of thing. But it's a phenomenally lively city, and we love the food culture here, the Vietnamese food culture, and there's a lot I love about Hanoi. It's probably one of my favourite cities in the world. So we're meeting some family here, and we're probably going to have a little bit of downtime very soon, but I had to get here in time to organise some activities and events. So that's why we're back here, and it's something we planned many months ago, and it was unavoidable, and it's the only reason why we didn't stay longer in that beautiful country of Taiwan, which I would have loved to have.
Yeah, it's our first time visiting Taiwan, and actually we loved it, didn't we?
Yeah.
It was actually very, very nice.
Should have gone there years ago. We would love to go back. Whether we will depend a little bit on what other things we're doing. It's one of the countries that will always be on the top of the list of places I want to return to. But that doesn't mean we will return to it. James Cook found Australia. Well, yes, arguably. I mean, there was a few other people that claimed to have found rats. I've seen hundreds of rats since I've only been back here a day and a half and seen plenty. Now, story. So last night we met. Look, so much has happened in the last 48 hours. It's hard to even quantify what's happened. We were a day or so ago. We were in a tent in Taiwan cycling. We've done night, and yesterday we met some people. I won't go into who we met, but some family friends, and it was superb. And if they see this, they probably won't. it was amazing. And because I don't drink, as Ben knows, I had a few drinks, and it kind of affected me a bit, didn't it, Michelle?
Yes.
So I was a little bit. I wasn't at all drunk, but I drunk more than I possibly should have done. I haven't drunk in a little while. So last night, Michelle and I arrived back in this room quite late. How do I tell this story? Just as it was, I guess. It's probably best as it was. So
I'll see if you remember it all correctly.
I probably won't remember it all correctly, but you can correct me if I go wrong.
No, he doesn't drink, Ben. That's right.
Don't drink, never drink. But I had a few last
tipsy,
night.
Yes.
It's a tiny bit tipsy, but you know when you've had a few drinks and you really fancy something, you know, you start getting the nibbles, the munchies. So we got back, and I said to Michelle, "Do you fancy something?" She said, "I'd like something salty, like crisps, chips." And I fancied something sweet.
Sozzled, says Ben, the technical term.
No, I didn't fancy sozzled. They didn't have them anyway. But so I said, "Oh well, I'll go down. It's not far to get to a convenience store." So I went down, all sort of jolly, and went to the convenience store. Now I'm at the convenience store. It's a good block and a half away. It's not right below us or anything. So it's a good block and a half away. A good sort of five minutes walk, brisk walk. I'm in the convenience store, and I've got a couple of bags of crisps, plain, these local crisps. They're delicious. They're simple, salted, no flavours, but really good quality crisp. You needed to know that, like a hole in the head. I've got a couple of chocolate bars. I've got a Snicker. Okay, advert. There we go. That's for your Snicker bar company who are sponsoring this video.
No,
they're not. So I'm sat there at the checkouts, and I'm just thinking, do I want anything else? I'm up to now about. I'll give you a price, and it's important that you understand the price. I'm about 80,000 dong, 82,000 dong. So there's a girl ahead of me, and she's buying something, and then he gives her a bag. It seems I'm not one for missing something, so I can see she's been given a bag, and it's a sizable bag, and it's got stuff in it. And he's got a load of these bags. Only when I say a load, he's got about 8 of these bags behind him. So I thought, oh, that's interesting. I'm not sure that was about. Then the next group went through and bought some bits, and they get given one of these sort of, it looks like a gift bag, you know. So I go over to the second lad who's over the side, and I say, what's that all about? You know, we're talking a bit of broken English, a little bit of Google Translate. Oh, if you spend 100,000, because we're a news store, we're giving away this gift bag. Well, you know, I'm not one for missing an opportunity. I'm already spending 80,000. I've only got to get a can of pop or something, and I'm up to there. So I go up to the counter. I get myself a can of pop, go up to the counter, and he rings it up, and he's going to give me this bag. And I thought, well, that's good. And I go down to grab my wallet. No wallet. I've left my wallet. Oh, bummer. And he's only got 8 of these bags, and he's giving them away like you know, like Santa Claus, you know, at a sort of kindergarten Christmas party. So I messaged Michelle, and I said, I've left my wallet. And she says, oh, well, no crisp then. And I said, no, you don't understand. It doesn't go that way. I've left my wallet. You're going to have to come and bring it to me. And she said, oh, right then. So she's going to bring the wallet to me. And I'm trying to make sure they don't give. So I'm sort of like, I'm not. Okay, I'm going to pretend now this is a little bit sort of elaborate, and maybe I'm blocking the door, stopping people coming in, trying to, because if they look like they've got not very many of these bags left, and I'm quite excited because I love it. We all love a freebie, don't we?
Oh, we love a freebie,
and it wasn't just like a little plastic; it was a good sized bag. So I'm thinking, okay, I could see there was more than 100,000 worth of bits and pieces. So I ring Michelle and said, do you fancy coming down? Just bring my wallet. And I explained to her why. And so Michelle liked a freebie, so she's in like Flint. She's coming.
I said to you, have you got the door key?
Have I got the door key? Yeah, I've got the door key. So okay. Michelle comes out without the door key. So in the apartments that we're in at the moment, that you have to scan the key to get out of the apartment because it's got like an iron gate. So now I'm getting a call back from Michelle, and she said, "Oh, I've come down. I haven't got the key because you've got it, and I'm stuck because I can't leave the apartment complex because I can't get through the gate, and I can't go back in to the apartment because now I haven't got a key." So she's stuck at the bottom of the elevators of this building. And I said, "Oh, okay." And I can feel the goodie bag now. It's sort of starting to drift away. Things like, I thought, oh, well, we've blown it, you know. Gonna have to think the whole thing over. We'll have to go and live somewhere else, Michelle. I can't cope with this. It's become all too traumatic. So short of sort of like having a meltdown and going sort of postal, I'm just chatting with Michelle, and she said, "Oh no, it's all right. There's a girl just leaving the building." So she opened the door for Michelle, and I said, "Oh, okay, well, then you can come up." So that little panic was over. This is all for a goodie bag. Can you believe it? I mean, we're absolutely mad. And by the way, going back to Ben's comment, I'm sozzled. So I'm not thinking straight. No, I'm not thinking like logically.
He's already done the conversions. 80,000 dong is $329 versus $100,000 dong, which is $4.11.
So I've bought myself a can of pop. I'm going for it, Ben. So.
And he says, have a mock funeral for the loss of the goodie bag.
Yeah, so the goodie bag's falling away now. But anyway, we're throwing another lifeline. Michelle's coming up now. She's coming up the road, and she's coming at great speed. She's not sure what she's coming for because I probably haven't made myself that clear.
No. And actually, she's not sure where she's going either.
And she didn't know, and she's got no internet. She's got no Wi-Fi. I'm the only one who's got a SIM card here, so I can make calls.
Well, that was the other thing. It actually picked up my phone at the last minute as I walked out the door, because if I hadn't picked up my phone, I couldn't have phoned you.
Oh, Lord. Could have gone worse.
It could have gone worse.
Anyway, the good news is, guys, you'll all be happy. You'll all be ecstatic to know I got the goodie bag.
I think it was the last one.
It was the last one. I got the goodie bag. It's here. We've got a result. Hey? I bet you're all happy. Do you want to know what's in it?
Eric Nathan says, I love story time.
Yeah, you want to know what's in it. What we did all that for. Was it worth it? Well, let's have a look. Michelle?
We haven't really even looked.
We haven't looked. I haven't taken anything out of it because we had our own. Don't forget, we had our chips. Yeah. And a Snicker bar.
Yeah,
anyway.
That was not part of this.
Go on then. But a thumbs up. No, but a 1 in the comments if you think it was worth it. But a 2 in the comments if you think it wasn't worth it. So 1 is it was worth it. 2, you don't think it was worth it.
So D. Mayfield said, this is so awesome. Let's see. And Ben said, who did you take it off? No, he didn't.
I did it. No, sorry, Michelle. I did actually beat up a couple of small children.
He did come out of the store to look down the road to see if I was coming.
It was 4:15 midnight.
It was late, and it had been raining.
So let's get some.
2, Ben says.
Ben says it's not worth it.
Oh, you don't know, Ben. What's in the bag?
Yeah, you don't know now, Ben.
Me, Mr. Jono says 1. He thinks it's worth it.
Go on, yeah. Give me some 1s.
And D. Mayfield says 1. Yeah.
Now I don't know how many people are in. It might be just me, you, and the 3 of you. So, but 1s for worth it. All right.
Well,
so
won't share it with you, Ben. It's like it's not worth it.
No. So the first thing is this sort of like. Well, I'm not even sure. What is it, Michelle?
I don't know. I haven't looked.
The first thing, come behind me and try and work out what that is.
Okay, I won't rattle too much.
We've got a. You think? See, it hasn't stopped. This is like Christmas.
It's Lavi. That's water. So it's a water bag thingy. It's got a zip on it.
A load of rubbish.
They are. You can take that camping with you.
Okay.
You can put your bottle of water in there and then carry it around.
Rather than just carry your water bottle?
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
Okay, that might be a 2.
But it's still heavy.
Oh, okay.
Still heavy.
Okay, that was very light.
Yes. I'm going to go through it quite quickly now. So we've got quite a nice bag, by the way. I should probably, anybody in the family...
Ben says a water bag, riveting. I agree.
Anybody in the family gets this for Christmas. They know where it comes from now.
I might put a ribbon on it.
Not getting the contents. All right, so we've got some pot noodles. All right. Doesn't stop there.
What flavour pot noodles do we get?
I don't know, Michelle. Some pot noodles, they all taste the same to me, pot noodles. It's pot noodle flavoured pot noodles. It'll probably be a little bit hot. It'll probably have a little bit of noodly stuff, and it'll puff up to be like overcooked pasta, as it always
but who
does.
doesn't love a pot noodles?
Right. I've got another packet of chips. Hey?
What flavour
Lay's
are they?
as well. None of your cheap rubbish. I got a packet of chips. All right.
Yep.
I got another can of pop. Pepsi, the sponsor for this particular video. I got a can of pop.
So you're taking back your comment now, Ben. How many bricks are in there?
Yeah. Look at this. I got the always ever-present packet of tissues.
You can never have enough tissues.
Never have enough tissues. Gone a little downhill now, hasn't it? Really, the tissue thing. I got a packet of biscuits.
Oh, some cookies. What flavour are they?
Cremos. Knockoff Oreos.
I was going to say Vietnamese.
I got a packet of knockoff Oreos.
You're changing your 2 to a 1, Ben.
Yes, come on. Still more to come. The last but not least, I got two.
One each. They the same?
No, there we go. I got a Dynamind. Somebody for a drink that can't spell dynamo. I got a drink with a little twist off top. Can't spell dynamo. Dynamind. And I've got a Milo. Good old Australian drink there to end the session. And this beautiful bag in which to put it all. Was it worth it?
Was it worth it?
Come on. Free. That was all free. There's probably, I would say, I probably could sell this and get my money back, which means everything else I bought yesterday.
So Ben says, reminds me of when you were handing lots of tissues in Japan and when Michelle got wet wipes instead of normal tissues. A little more function.
A little more, yeah, they're just normal tissues. They're not even wet. I'd have to damp those or spit on them to make them any use. I'm not a big
1.5,
blower.
Ben. Come on, that was a good goodie bag that got from midnight last night.
And I'm going to have, would you mind doing me another coffee?
You want another coffee?
Yeah, I know it's a bit.
So he's gone to a 1.
He's
well
gone
done,
to a
Ben.
1. Well done, Ben.
Give me a thingy then. No, this one. I need this one. I've got to do this bit. It's not like just getting
across my camera.
Hello.
Lord, she's such a camera hog.
I am.
Right, so that was the story from last night. We had a beautiful night with friends last night, friends and family. Great people, superb. Here in a fantastic city. Yeah, city that never sleeps. Hanoi. Gotta love it. All right, so because I'm never one to even say no to a knockoff cookie, biscuit, we're going to try these Cremos, Oreo sort of knockoffs. I'm just going to finish this coffee and get a hot one because I'm going to have a little dunk. But don't tell Michelle that, she's got the kettle boiling.
I'm just going to take my microphone off because the kettle's loud and I've got to wash everything.
Okay, that's a good idea. She's such a smart... Maura, hello, how are you? Petri, hello. Oh, you'll have to go back and watch this one, Petri. It's the most exciting live stream I've done in a long time. I was quite excited myself. You'll hear all about the goodie bag and how Ben thinks it's a 2. He thinks my goodie bag is a number 2. And we all thought it was a number 1. Anyway, so these are kind of puffed up like they've been on a plane or something. Oh, yeah. I'll go fresh in there, sweetheart. Thank you very much. Michelle's a great barista. I'd like to know, the city never sleeps, drives you crazy because it won't shut up. Yeah, it is a little bit. We are on a high-ish floor and we're on a fairly small road, but even this morning, just the sound of the beeps and the horns were going. So I'm going to share with you now, and hopefully there'll be a little bit of music, and hopefully it won't be too loud. A little bit of video from our cycling, just to show you how stunningly beautiful it is. And I'm still going to be talking. So what's Jono doing the Cook Islands again? Oh, where to go next? Okay, Cook Islands. We're not sure where we're going next. We're not sure. So watch this space, but it may not be too soon. We've got a couple of weeks downtime. We've got some family get-togethers going on. While I talk to you, just take a look at this stunning country that we've just been cycling through. I don't know if I've done it justice in the videos because I've kind of done it from a neck GoPro perspective, but I got this beautiful footage, so I'm going to share it with you now, and you can let me know what you think. So let's see if it works. So I'm going to stay up here in the corner. Ben, or any of you there actually, can just let me know, are you getting music? Now this is Mr. Brown Boulevard. So let me just check. I'm going to transition back. Let me just wait until Michelle comes back, because I need a little bit of my technical assistance, just in case any of you don't. Were you getting a little bit of music, and was it over? All right, so it's my favourite song too. So was it too loud, Ben? Because I can crank it down a little bit, I think. Anyway, so we'll be there, because I want you to be able to hear me, because obviously my voice is Thank you. Take a look at this, Michelle. Thank you, sweetheart. Would you like half a biscuit?
No, half a packet. You missed the word packet.
Oh, they're light coloured. They're not like proper Oreos at all. All right.
Put my mic back on. There's your spoon.
Back to the video footage. It might start over again, so forgive me for that.
Can you miss what you never
Okay, so I'm going to just crank the sound down a little bit. I'll plant it about there, and you can tell me how it goes. I'm just going to have myself a little cookie. This is
I won't get one otherwise.
Mr. Brown's Way. This is Mr. Brown's Boulevard. Mr. Brown's, look, that's Michelle and I just down there in the left corner, vanishing behind the trees. How beautiful is that? These are all rice paddies. They're not terraced rice paddies, but they're beautiful. And you're seeing them from above. They were harvesting when we were there, so you can see there. That's a tiny little combine harvester. It's the smallest diddy little combine harvester you've seen, but it completely takes the rice up, shreds it, puts the straw back down on the ground, and takes the grain, and then they take it over to a little silo and drop it there. So this is the sort of, what can I say, the scenery we were getting on the East Coast. Very, very, very different. You just see the guy there, think it was going to be hit by the drone. So very, very different to what we were getting on the West Coast. But we would just happen to be there at the time of the harvesting of the rice as well. So there's two combine harvesters there, you can see. Michelle and I,
See how windy it was?
It was still very windy. I mean, you can see that's not sped up or slowed down. That's the speed at the buffeting of the back of our capes. They are our Australian style sun hats, so they had a lovely big rim and a big sort of neck down the back. But it's the first time I've seen this, because obviously we don't see from this perspective ourselves how it was sort of fluttering from behind.
Well, superhero capes.
Yeah.
Ben says, excuse me, share the cookies with your viewers.
Oh, yeah.
Lucky you're sharing them with me, Ben.
There you go, Ben. One for you, mate. One
see?
for you. Oops, there we go.
I knew what you meant, Ben. It's good, isn't it, that footage?
It's lovely.
Yeah.
And it shows a nice perspective of people come to this area and they rent out these bikes. See that one there just gone past? These little quad bikes. Quad trike,
I actually
crazy.
put a picture up on Instagram of the Miss Thomas the Tank Engine one, so have a look.
Yeah, there's some photos on Instagram you can check out. Unfortunately I didn't get the combine harvester putting the grain into the silo. I kind of missed it, but forgive me, I can't get everything. So we're cycling down here, and you can see now the panniers. You can see the weight of the bikes, and how the fact that they're quite broad at the front and back, so they're sort of capturing the wind. All the other cyclists you see in this video are people that are just there for the day on a sort of kiss me quick hat and donkey tour, so they're all sort of
It was very
riding around.
touristy, wasn't it?
Very touristic-y. But you can see why, right? If you're in Taiwan and you're anywhere in this area, touristy or not, it's stunning, stunningly beautiful. And I'm just pleased that we decided to cycle slightly inland rather than on the coast. We could have cycled along the coast, but because the winds were so strong and in our face, we'd had a few people say it's the best cycling, but we had a few people say no, it's really, really windy. So I'm pleased we decided to go on the inner coastal roads, which protected us a bit from the wind. We still had head-on winds, but they weren't those sort of coastal aggressive winds. So yeah, I'm not sure if this is looped yet or whether it's come to the end. I can't hear it.
I don't know.
So I've got myself a... Let me just let you watch this a moment. I'm going to watch it with you. This is coming up to... There's a frame just... I was going to be quiet, but I can't. I can never be quiet. You can see just ahead there in the centre there was a frame. And it's where I took a really nice photo. Michelle took a fantastic photograph of me with the bike in that frame. And that also is on Facebook and Instagram if you want to check it out. What a beautiful day. That was a lovely day cycling that day.
That was,
wasn't it?
and we actually stopped and did a live stream there.
Yeah, we did a live
We
stream.
did a bit of people watching, and it was a nice little area.
Okay,
that,
and it
wasn't
starts over again. So I think that at that point, unless you want to, no, I just think it looped there, Ben. So I'm just going to come back to me.
Yeah, so that was all rice paddies, wasn't it?
That was all.
So it looks like lovely
rice.
camping grounds,
Yeah,
but it's not.
You sometimes come into those valleys and think, oh, there's loads of places we can camp here, but they're not. They're soaking wet and they're all sort of channeled with rice paddies. So that's a little teaser. I knocked that up this morning. Thank you very much, me. Just I wanted to see how some of the drone footage, we didn't really get a chance to get the drone up because on the city side we weren't really able to, and on the coastal side the winds were generally too strong, so I really didn't get a lot of drone footage.
Well, we were busy cycling because we did some long days.
But I really think that's a good example of how pretty Taiwan is. I mean, it's a beautiful country, and it's not all cities, it's smaller towns, coastal regions, rice paddies, and yeah. And like I said to you, when I arrived back here in Hanoi, night before last, straight away, and I love Hanoi, don't get me wrong, but my mind was sort of like, oh Lord, it's so noisy and dirty, and it is. I'm sorry, Vietnam, you can't you can't take away the fact it's filthy. I mean, it's filthy. When you're walking on the streets, everything's uneven. There's dirty water squirting up your legs. There's cockroaches and rats anywhere. And if you don't like that, you come to these sort of cities for a certain style of travel. And if any of you have been here, you'll know what I mean. But it is noticeably grimier, and not in a nice sort of like steampunk sort of way, grimier than places like Taiwan, South Korea, Japan, which are, so much cleaner and fresher and well maintained. So that's what I would say to you. If you haven't been to Taiwan, if you've never had it on your list, I think it's a definite
Absolutely.
a place people should
Me,
be.
Mr. Jono says Southeast Asia is an amazing place. It is. They don't actually class Taiwan as Southeast Asia.
No, it's kind of East Asia, isn't it?
It's Far East, isn't it?
Far East Asia.
They don't like to be put into the Southeast Asia bit, do they?
No, but Mr. John is probably talking about.
No, I think that comment came in before.
Right. Generally.
Before. Yeah, generally.
But, yeah.
So next time in Taiwan, try not to camp randomly.
Yeah, I think.
Yeah, the weather has to be right.
If you're cycling around Taiwan, thank you very much. Next time in Taiwan, if you're cycling around Taiwan, you are going to camp randomly because if you've ever hiked or cycled any distance, you can only really, and don't forget, it got dark by sort of 4:30 in the evenings. 5 o'clock, you were starting
They
to
say
lose
it's better
light.
to get a nice sleep.
Yeah, but I think if I were to do it again, I'd do what most people tend to do, which is just stay in hotels. You know, stay in hotels, but carrying all that camping gear, don't know. I think the other thing is, if we could have had a lot more time, we would have probably gone a lot slower.
I think that was the issue we had, because we had this excuse me, we had this appointment here. We were sort of a little bit rushed in that respect, and we like to just travel that little bit slower. And then it maybe would have been a little bit better, but it was hot and humid in the tent.
Yeah, the first night, I think I did a live stream and talked to you all about it. It was like a nightmare. It was we literally got 30 seconds sleep. It was and literally got 30.
Yeah.
I think I might have got 20 minutes max, and it was more just in between dog barking and
most of that was because it was so hot, and that
it was just too hot
in a lot of the other
so
places.
yeah, generally I think it was not a camping destination, although
no, I think it is, but only I think it's quite a small window of when the temperature is going to be right.
I saw a guy, and I was quite envious. I think both of us were a bit. That was going around on a motor scooter, you know, on a nice cruisy scooter, and another guy who was on a much bigger bike, like a GS 1200 or something, like a
to have
BMW.
the flexibility to go where you want, which we do with the bikes.
And that would be quite nice to do with camping.
Yeah. Because
if you saw a spot, you know, 50 kilometers before, and you went a little bit too far, you could be back to it. But when you're cycling, if you see a spot at 3 o'clock and you think, well, that's a possible good stop there, and you just cycle for another sort of 45 minutes and nothing comes up, it's the same as hiking. You can't really go back 45 minutes. It's hard to do, and you're not sure when the next one. And our second day of the journey was one of the most extreme examples of that, and you will see video, and maybe a little bit later on as well. There was a second example where it went a bit pear-shaped.
D. Mayfield said, never fun to be rushed. No, we don't like to rush things.
No, and we weren't rushed, because if you think about it, most people can cycle round Taipei in Taiwan, sorry, in like 9 or 10 days. You know, that a lot of people on a regular sort of sports road bike, you can get round there in 9 or 10 days. So we allowed ourselves 2.5 to 3 weeks, and so we weren't really rushed. But I would have loved to have spent more time. Yeah, it was such a good day, Eric.
Yeah, Eric says I'm a hotel motel kind of guy.
Well, Eric, I actually agree with you. Would love Taiwan if you were cycling, or maybe on a little motor scooter or in a car and things. You could just stop at a motel, say, "Oh, this is nice." It's only costing me, how much was it that Ben said? It was about
$26 US dollars.
$26 a night. So I'll chuck, 5 nights in there and just stop in this little town and get to know some local places, find some coffee shop, find some food places. And that would be the way I'd want to experience that. It was.
Mr. Jono said tents in Southeast Asia is a no-no. Too humid. Absolutely.
Too humid. Although, I wouldn't be doing.
Well, I would say we probably had maybe 1 or 2 nights where it was okay.
We did get a bit... It was, Michelle.
We did get a bit of a bruise.
You got it spot on there, though. It was okay.
Yeah,
I mean, this
it wasn't
perfect.
Camping.
No. We never really had it, and that was it. And the only time I know what time you're thinking about, because it was 1 or 2, but the one that was most okay, we're in a graveyard,
which we didn't know.
No. Did you put some milk in this?
I did, in the bottom.
Okay.
Did the same. Is that all right?
Yum. Yes, looks lovely.
Good.
Now I can have a cookie.
Now we can have a cookie.
I like cookies.
Oh, I can have a cookie. Does anybody else want a cookie?
Anybody else want a couple?
No, mine.
They were yours, Ben. She's taken them. I'm
helping you out.
There's only 2 left now. They're mine.
Oh, is there?
Yeah.
Only 2?
Only 2.
Oh, yeah.
There's just these 2.
They're just those 2.
I'm a dunker.
I'll throw the packet away then if there's any of those 2 left. Yeah, no noise in a graveyard. No, there wasn't. It was absolutely
dead
silent. Dead silent. Yes, please, says Ben. Sorry, Ben, I've got yours.
Dead
They've
silent.
got chocolate in the middle, but they're light coloured, aren't they? They're quite weird.
Yeah, and they've got like, well, chocolate. They've got chocolate,
Chocolate cream.
fondant.
I know, I'm a thief, Ben.
Yes, she
Yeah.
is.
I'm watching your weight for you, Ben. You can't take the cookies off me.
So, I might quickly recount that again in case somebody's watching this doesn't know. But we stopped quite often. We were cycling quite late, later than we should have. One particular night, it was way too late, and it was getting very dark. But with all the street lights and things, we could sort of see. And we'd earmarked a place. We'd sort of gone ahead on Google Maps and found a bit of green area, and that's all we knew about it. It was a bit of green area. But it was quite a few kilometres, and it took us quite a couple of hours or so to get there, didn't it? It was like really heavy cycling. And towards the end, we were in the dark on the roads, and that's never a nice place to be. And then we found this, we got to this area, turned right and went onto this park or green area. And it was pitch black. Couldn't see a thing. I mean, literally almost couldn't see the bikes. I had to turn my phone light on just to see what the ground was like.
As if it was flat.
And so I'm walking up and down this big sort of field area, and I'm looking for a flat bit of grass. And there was sort of like a little park bench area under some trees, and it was nice and flat and green. And I said, this is our spot. I found the spot. Now we're setting up a tent. We've only got a little tent, but thank you to Alex for lending us the tent while we were there. But it was too small for us, to be honest, Alex. It was, I would say, it wasn't anywhere near as spacious as our MSR tent that we had. We were literally laying in like a couple of coffins, which was quite appropriate. And so we're setting up in the dark. We can't use too much light for two reasons. Firstly, I don't want to light us all up and have everybody in the neighbourhood coming and telling us off. Secondly, and not that they would, but I mean, you don't want to sort of bring attention to yourself unnecessarily. And secondly, power. We've only got limited power, so we're very good at putting tents up. I think Michelle and I can put up. We've done so much camping. We could put up any tent without instructions.
Absolutely.
Tent is a tent is a tent. So we get the tent up fairly quickly. We've got a system, and then we get in. It's pitch black. It's very quiet. A dog does come barking. So a dog. I heard this sort of little distance, little closer, little closer. Now it's right outside the tent. I can hear it. I know you can hear. You can hear its paws on the ground right outside. So it's spotted us with its night vision goggles. It's spotted us. And it's come over and it's barking, just facing the tent, going woof, woof, woof. And I thought, oh. So we're quiet. We're thinking he'll go away in a minute, but he's not going away. This dog's just barking. He's barking over and over again. So I won't do it. I've got quite a loud whistle, but I give this little high-pitched whistle to the dog, and the dog sort of went, whoo, and then ran away. The whistle sent him, he ran off. Then way off in the distance, he's just barking a little bit, woof, 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 and then he shut up, and that was the last noise we heard.
Yeah.
It was like a graveyard.
Yeah, it was. It was like a graveyard.
It was, wasn't it?
Yeah.
That's
And there was a slight breeze.
It's because it was a graveyard. So we went to sleep, and we overslept because it was quiet and there was nothing to disturb us. No spooks coming up, giving us the and we started packing up, and a guy came over on a motor scooter, and he sort of said, and it wasn't a graveyard, there weren't stones. Look, there weren't stones. It was an Asian burial ground, different to our common sort of graveyards. They have these areas where there are sort of little temples, little tombs, little family plots where they'll go and pay respect and maybe have certain ceremonies and things. And they're quite elaborate, but they're quite away from where we're camping. We're in a little, right next to a church stroke temple in this little garden, which might have been a memorial garden anyway, but let's not go there. This guy comes over and he says, he spoke quite good English, and he said, you shouldn't be camping here. Not this is a church, this is a graveyard or something like that. He was quite friendly, but but we're half packed up. We're just sort of almost rolling up the sleeping bags and just on our way.
Later than normal because we had
Later,
a good
because
night's
it was about 8 o'clock or something, wasn't it?
7:30, 8
in the morning,
o'clock,
7:30,
yeah.
8 o'clock. And I can always sweet talk these people, you know. I sort of chat to him and explain who we are, what we're doing. He's like, I don't know, but you know, really, it's not a place that we like people to camp. And I said, yeah, but it was dark and I couldn't see. We arrived, it was pitch black. We couldn't see. I've got to have another cookie, guys. Pause that thought. So we're all friendly. Fist bumps. Hallelujah. He's away on his scooter. 5 minutes later, less than 5 minutes, a car rocks up. And there's a lady who's one of the management team. And somebody's told us that somebody's camping in this burial ground. Same story. Really shouldn't be here. You know, you're not allowed to camp here. I said, well, we are just leaving. We laughed about it afterwards because I said, if we'd have actually packed up, if we'd have got it packed up a little bit quicker and they'd have rocked up and they said, oh, somebody was camping here. I said to Michelle, we would have said to them, yeah, we saw them. They're gone now. yeah, I was disgusted. I mean, fancy camping in a graveyard. We would just look in, but we're not going to stop because it's not our sort of place, you know. But we were red-handed. Tent was down, so I couldn't even play that card. So she's telling us we can't camp there. And I said to her, very sorry. When we came last night, it was very dark and very late. And we just wanted to, we thought it was next to a church, which we were always told next to churches or temples, it's usually a safe place. And we've always had good experiences with religious grounds. We've camped in graveyards before, as you know, from the joggle. So she eventually smiles and leaves us, and she's okay. You know, just don't camp here again. You know, we're not hardly likely to, but so we're off. And then the guy catches us up on the bike. Just coming. Oh, good luck. He said, have a great trip. Lovely to meet you. So everything was really sweet. No big issues. So that was the night that we slept probably the best.
The best, yes.
Yeah.
Yes, yeah. That was the only time we got into trouble.
Was there any other time that we could honestly, hand on heart, say we slept well? I don't remember another time we slept well.
Remember?
Not comfortably.
Not comfortably, no.
We lay there often in our little mummy's sleeping bags, well, on them, because you couldn't get in them, it was too hot. We'd have the cover off, so it was just the fly net on, and we'd be laying under probably a street lamp, so it was like being under an interrogation lamp. Because every time we put the tent up, in the dusk, we'd think, oh, we got a good spot here. We put the tent up. Yeah, it's dusk. It's getting dark, so we start to put the tent up. Get the last peg in, unzip the thing, and suddenly all the street lamps have come on. And poof! And we're at sort of Wembley Arena now, lit up. Everybody can see us. Anybody that walks past, because we've got only the net over, can see us laying in our sort of underwear in the tent. Fortunately, they were generally quiet areas, so we didn't. That
place where we went, where the outskirts of that town, where you went up the embankment and went off and left.
Oh, that was okay. I can't remember what town that was. I'm just going to run this video again. Just tell me if the sound is annoying. If you're happy.
What town it was?
Because I do think this is a little uplifting.
Me, Mr. Jono says, I'll chuck in 50 quid if you set up a Cook Island fund. Very food orientated, obviously, and great history to tell with it.
Oh. If you were to say, Mr. Jono, I'll fly you over there and put you up, and I know you're saying that it would be a fun, I'd probably do it, but I don't know. This is the first time I've given it any consideration at all. Let me look into it, but it won't be happening anytime soon. We've kind of got the next year fairly well. I wouldn't say it's mapped out, because that would be foolish of me to say so. Look at this, beautiful. I love this shot of the tiny little combine harvesters. They look a little bit like Bobcat JCBs. They're quite small. They completely cut. They cut the rice fields. They leave that lovely winnowing sort of trail of straw. They completely take the grain off, and then they drive up to a truck and just drop the grain, and you'll see it from the aerial shots that are coming up in a moment.
No, Ben says, I think what Steve is saying is he doesn't care for Cook Islands, lol.
I've
No,
never
I don't-
given it a thought. I
No.
just never. I don't know where but see, you've obviously given the Cook Islands quite a lot of thought, and you'd love to see it. Up until sort of, you know, 45 minutes ago, I'd never given.
Well,
the
I'm
Cook
going to show
Islands
my
a thought.
ignorance, and I probably don't even know where the Cook Islands are.
I'm not
so-
geographically. I'm not even quite sure where the Cook Islands
And you never
are.
say never.
They're off towards the. I think they're off towards Fiji.
It's like someone talked about was it the Faroe Islands, wasn't it?
I think it's off towards Fiji, Michelle. I'm not
Right.
100% sure. Let me just do a quick.
You know, there's so many islands and places to go to, and quite often the smaller islands are quite expensive to get to. So that's always puts us off.
Yeah,
a little bit, isn't
they're
it?
over towards the Fiji.
I think that he was saying something to do with
Beautiful.
New
I mean,
Zealand or something.
Lovely part. I mean, but I'll be honest, the chances that we'll be going there anytime soon are probably very, 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 very slim.
Yeah.
Because we've just got too many other things booked to do. And I imagine going to the Cook Islands, and I do appreciate your offer, by the way, of you know, starting a fund for it, but
Yes, Ben, I know where the Faroe Islands are. Just that somebody was talking about that a few years ago. That's going to the Faroe Islands, and
Faroe
before
Islands.
they said about it, we hadn't really.
Faroe
Knew
Islands
about
are
them.
part of Norway, aren't they?
Yes,
Norwegian. I
yes.
think they run under the Norwegian.
And Cook Islands is in free association with New Zealand.
Right.
Okay.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to think, when I used to watch the rugby sevens and things, we used to go to the rugby, whether the Cook Islands had a contingency there.
Okay.
Because Samoa, Tonga, Fiji, they were always some of the great rugby seven teams, you know, that and the Kiwis, of course, in Australia, but Japan, Britain.
Captain Cook ran into the Cook Islands, then found Australia.
Wow, he must run on water.
And Easter Island. There's so many places. I mean, we talked about Taiwan, but it really wasn't on our radar until suddenly we thought, okay, let's just do it, didn't we? It was sort of, you know, it was a spur of the moment. That's probably the last one. He's eating those cookies and looking at me as he eats them. So mean. Don't worry, I'll get him back.
Right. So that's our diary update. You've heard about, you know, how the last days of that amazing cycle experience. Now, there were some really harsh experiences there. And I've said it before. People say sometimes, why is it so harsh? Why do you do it? And I've said this before. You know, if you sail around the world, or if you go to Antarctica, or you run a marathon, there isn't any point during those experiences you're not going to say, God, I wish I was at home in a nice, comfortable bed. It's just the way it is, you know. We do these things to challenge ourselves. They're not meant to be fun, right? So this is a challenge. There are many, many, many ups and downs. There are many fun experiences, but quite often it can be quite harsh, and that's what it should be. And the reason Michelle and I do it, and I've said this before, the reason we did the jog, or the reason we do the traveling we do, because it is quite hard, is a lot of it is to do with it's to do with feeling alive, you know. It's to do with feeling alive. That ran through again, so I'm just going to stop it. And keeping yourself as active and as interested in this wonderful life that we live. And if we just sat, you know, in front of the TV all the time and didn't do this, I think it would just, the pair of us would go insane. So for us, it's a way of letting our bodies and our minds know that there's so much still to do.
Steve Mayfield says, one can't enjoy the good times if you haven't experienced rough times.
Yes, and it's you do have. We've experienced, right? I mean, life. We've been handed. Sometimes it might look like we have a fairly blessed life. That we've been handed some pretty hard cards over the years, and you know, over time maybe some of that will come out in. But we've had some fairly harsh times. But these adventures are, they're to do with, I think, because the finite manner in which life exists, it's important to sort of live it to the fullest, and I think that's what I try to get across, maybe, you know, in our, I mean, Nike stole the saying, which was a saying way before Nike used it, of just do it. And Michelle and I talk about stepping off the edge. So, you know, it's getting on and living life to the fullest and challenging yourself. Now, that doesn't have to be doesn't have to be doing what we're doing. So many of you can find these same fulfillment by living in one village for your entire life. It's more about constantly challenging yourself so that you've got reason for existing, and trying not, I think one of the dangers is in today's day and age is that you allow, I think social media's got amazing strengths and weaknesses, and it can actually lead to all sorts of procrastination, putting things on hold, parking life, living vicariously. Just it can be all the wrong things. It can be inspirational. Hopefully we can be a little inspirational to people to do things, but you know, at the same time, you've got one chance.
Absolutely.
Yeah, one chance. I don't believe in reincarnations, and even if I did, I've never met anyone yet that said, "Oh, I was reincarnated and I can remember everything from the last one," and you know, nobody can. So I'm very practical in things like that. I'm quite I was going to say stoic. It's not stoic. It's very black and white in my understanding of knowledge of things like that. There's no reason to believe in anything you can know you cannot physically see, feel, touch, smell, taste. So
Me, Mr. Jono says, take the rough with the smooth. It's better to have loved and lost than to have paid for it and not liked it.
yes, Mr. Jono. Thought for the day.
And Ben and me, Mr. Jono, are talking about Easter Island, Christmas Island, Mongolia in the summer.
Yeah, Mongolia in the summer. That'd be nice. The Trans-Siberian Railway.
There's lots that we've talked about that we want to do. That, you know, we
South America.
Yeah, there's so much, and then there's other people throw in other places, and we think, oh, I hadn't thought about that. So
back in Australia and doing, you know, as I think Ben said at the beginning, I think we've one day we are going to take you on an amazing tour of our own beautiful country, whether that is our original country. We are English, British, Australians. So I don't want to, you know, Aussies can be a little bit sort of like flippant with the concept that but everybody, unless you're from Aboriginal backgrounds or things, everybody in Australia and to a degree has come from the roots, from the European roots. Of course, nowadays there's a multicultural of all sorts, but you know, I'm proud of the fact that I have strong English heritage, and I'm proud of the fact that we have Australian heritage. So where was I going with that?
I have no idea.
Just want to show people both countries, really. I mean, maybe one day. And when I think about, last thought for the day, and then I'm going to get off. When I think about roots or where you come from, we all come from Earth. We're all of this planet. I'm not a great one for sort of, you know, when somebody might say to you, "Oh, you come over here and camp on our," you know, in Taiwan, for example, "you shouldn't camp here. It's our land," or something like that. And they haven't. But if they were to say that, I'd say, no, it's not your land. We're all from this planet. There was never these are modern, borders and things are fairly modern inventions, and keeping people from being able to roam freely around the world is a very, very recent phenomenon. So we're all from this planet. We're all from this earth. Everywhere belongs to us. Everywhere we should have the right to go anywhere and be anywhere in the world that we choose to be. And so what I say is I'd love to show you more of Australia, but I'd also love to show you parts of where our families come from. Now, microgeographically, that would be England or United Kingdom, Britain. but actually in a geographical, it's more Europe. You know, we're Europeans, and there's a lot of similarities. We lived, as a lot of you know, in France for quite a number of years, and I always see them as our cousins and friends, as are the Italians and the Spanish and the Germans and the Swiss and the Swedish and Danish and Dutch. We're all part of the same, you know, historically historical clan, and so I love that part of the world. I'd love to show you more of that. But anyway.
CJ Lee says, good morning, everyone. Taiwan looks beautiful.
Thank you.
And D Mayfield said, we're the caretakers of the earth.
We are the caretakers, and we belong to the earth, and we all will return to the earth at some time. So on that thought, I am going to
read a comment.
Getting into my territory.
Yes. Out of Africa.
Out of Africa. Well, we'll hold that one for another day.
Yes.
The out of Africa
yes.
Concept is there's a much broader story to be in that theory of out of Africa, and I don't have particular opinions on it. I just know a lot more. I've told you I have a very sort of weirdly active mind, and even when you mention out of Africa, there's a lot I have to say on that, but not for this time.
D Mayfield says, have another cookie. I don't think there's any left. Oh, there is some. He hasn't eaten them all, and he saved one for me.
See, I saved her one for the end of the show.
You did. Don't eat it now because you won't be able to talk.
All right. Loved you all.
Share this video with your friends and family and get them interested in our series that's coming up that he's going to get on.
Oh, that'd be a while off the end.
I
Don't put me under pressure.
I'm not putting you under pressure.
And also, don't forget to hit the thumbs up. Yes. And when you've finished watching this, whatever browser, whatever app you're looking for, don't forget to clear your cookies.